Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on the stream we work on a Django app, Python app, and put it on the web. We're going to continue on that this evening, and I've got a few things in the hopper to do this evening, so we'll get right to our issue list and get down to it. So I've marked some items as assigned to me to help us focus on our list of what to go after, and then we'll try and knock out a bunch of these things. I don't expect we'll get through all of them in this next couple of hours, but we'll do our best. You are welcome to ask me anything about Python and Django or web development in general. That's what I'm here for. I'm also here to work on this project. So the project itself is a journaling service if you've never joined in before. And we're right in the middle of connecting part of our sign-up flow to the main function of the app. The way the journaling service works currently is that every day at a certain time, it sends out an email prompt to everyone. The way this journaling service works is you respond to the journal by responding to an email in your inbox. So your main interaction with the app is actually through email. And what I wanted to do is improve the sign-up experience so that you get that email as soon as you verify your email account. And last time we were streaming together, I started down that road of figuring out the details of what we need to hook into, and then extracting out the logic that's currently doing the email sending so that it's more usable anywhere in the app. Currently it was just locked into the background job that was doing the work, which was fine to get going, but now that we have found a second use for it, we did that refactoring to make it usable for other parts. So we'll start by figuring out how to plug in this new chunk of functionality. Let's see, I just rebooted my machine, so let me get things back up and running. So we're staring at the same stuff, and we put the function into this transmitter file. That's where the logic is. You don't need to worry about most of the logic in here. Just know that it sends out email prompts. That's the primary method of what it's doing. And then it's doing some tracking around some model instances. So what we really want to do is be able to call this function as part of a signal after email signup. I'm using django-allauth to handle email-based login. And django-allauth has a bunch of signals that come with it that will fire at different points during the allauth lifecycle. The one that matters for us is this one right here, email confirmed. So I've configured the application so that verification is required because I can't have people signing up with junk emails because the whole purpose of the site is to send you an email regularly. And if you want, you can sign up yourself. It's at journeyinbox.com. It's got a free trial. You can check it out. But in order to keep that deliverability of emails really high and not get penalized by my ESP, which is SendGrid. So ESP is an email service provider, and they do the actual email sending for me. But if I send them a bunch of junk emails and I get bounces back of invalid emails, then I'm going to be in trouble. So there's a verification step in the signup process that says, yeah, you have to click this verification link before you're actually verified. And that's what will fire ultimately this signal that what we've done is complete, and then we can take action on it. So we want to use email confirmed and get the data and then look up the primary account that's associated with that email address and then immediately turn around and send them an email. That's the objective. So we have to wire all that together. So we've got this transmitter file, which is going to be the core function that we use. Diljan, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate it. And we want to actually connect it to a signal. So if you don't know about Django signals, they're pretty cool. But what they do is essentially allow any part of your code to register to be called when a signal is, the word is dispatched. So in the code, we could go dig into django-allauth. I'm not going to do that, but you'd find a place where the email confirmed signal exists and you'll call on it dispatch. I can't remember if it's signals dispatch or it's off the signal itself. I honestly, it's been a while since I've looked at how to use signals. I think I had the documentation up and I just don't remember how to initiate that process. So we're on the receiver side of this, which what our primary objective to do is to connect to it. So that is going to be our job in this process. Looks like there are multiple ways to do that, but we'll try that out. So once we have connected, then we'll be able to process whenever an email confirmation comes in. Okay, enough theory. Let's get down to the actual coding. So I've already got a receivers file. This receivers file is actually not for a Django signal. It's for a different kind of signal that's happening. It's from the actual webhook that the ESP is sending. So I'm using Django AnyMail, and it has a webhook ability, and that you can connect to that webhook. And I think I might even have it in the, you can see how this is already connected for AnyMail. So here's an example of us already using the signals package, but using for a different Django app. So we're going to do something similar here, where we are going to get our email confirmed signal, just like the inbound signal, and we'll connect to a handler that we're going to create. So that's what we need to create right now to actually send the prompt. HA, thanks for the comment on watching the stuff there. Hopefully you're learning something along the way. So we've got our inbound. So I think logically, I probably want to put this particular receiver above inbound. I don't know that it really matters, but in my mind, it's like the prompt goes out and the inbound is coming back in. So if I can list it like one, then the other, that feels like the right way to put it for me. Again, it doesn't, the order in this file doesn't particularly matter, but that's why I'm going to put it here. So let's start by, oh, you're very welcome, AJ. Let's start by creating a handler function. So this will be handle, the signal is called, what is it called? Email confirmed. So the logical name that I'm going to use is handle email confirmed. Be very boring and see how that goes. And it needs to accept a few things, and it's not covered here. So what I don't like about the way this is described is there's an extra parameter that's kind of left unmentioned here. And that's the, if you look at the actual API for receivers, is that it has a receiver argument that comes in, and I think all of that has to be present or else it's not going to work. You can get around that by, whoops, there was the, by doing this, essentially doing the ** quarks, which maybe is what we'll do. So let's start with, well, let's first make it look like the kind of a signature that we want and get that going. And then I want to put in, so I think what we need is the sender is going to be the first argument. And we don't care what that is. We're not going to be using the sender. And then we've got a, according to this documentation, we've got a request object and an email address, presumably the email address that just confirmed. So we will have the request object, which I believe is going to be an HTTP request. Not positive on that, but you know, it's a good reasonable guess. And what was the other one called? Email address. And from that email address, we will look up the actual account that's called. This will make more sense in a minute. So I want to check just to be certain that I'm getting this right. We're also going to test this later, so it's not strictly necessary, but I like to see this stuff in action. So let's go to the all-auth repo, which I've done in the past. Where is it? Come on, GitHub. GitHub all-auth. There it is. And then we can search in this repository for email confirmed, and we'll find actually where that signal is used. And so here's the call down here. Now, I've mentioned in the past that all-auth, while I love the project, the code I find is a bit hard to navigate. There's so much indirection because they've made it very flexible. So what we're going to do is kind of just stop here. We don't need to go any farther on how this is being called. It doesn't really matter. I did last time confirm that this is the signal that we care about, but you can see it's actually being called with 3 separate parameters. And we don't have to call a dispatch thing. You actually take the signal itself and you call the send method on that particular signal. And I think that's how that works. And just, that's something they did on this package, or is it something in all of them? So let's look quickly. Come on. Send? Yeah. So the signal, if you declare a signal, it's going to have a send method on it to call it. Okay. So we know that that code shows that it gets called with 3 attributes, which is the sender, request, and email address. And so that should be sufficient for us. I'm going to, I don't know that I strictly need to, but I'm going to put on a keyword args at the end, just in the event that allauth decides to change their signature in the future of that and put in some more variables. This kind of is maybe a little bit of unnecessary code, but it feels right to put it in there for me. And it gives the symmetry compared to what we got for the handle inbound. Okay, so that's that. That's what we're going to call. I think, I'm trying to think of what, we should write a test for this. And so we need to, I'm going to put a to-do here so I don't forget about this file, because if we don't wire this up, it's not going to do us any good. So connect email confirmed. We're not going to test that part. So that's why I just need a to-do comment. Yeah, a little bit of future proofing. You're right, John. Welcome, by the way. And then let's go add our tests. So we're in the test app. There's already a test receivers. So I think what I want to do is that test. What's the objective? The objective is that we see evidence that a prompt was sent along the way. And I think we can do some stuff to maybe, I don't know if we want to mock out the actual email sending or if we want to mock out something. All right, well, one thing at a time. So let's try with the way that doesn't include mocking and see if we run into problems with the email. I actually don't think we will, because we have a dummy mail setup that during the testing environment, what happens when you send an email out in the testing situation is that there's like a dummy inbox, essentially just a list that's going to hold email objects. And I'm not really concerned that we actually do the sending in this test. That's really immaterial because that's tested elsewhere. But what we can check for is that a prompt instance is created when this handle email is confirmed, and it's for today. And that will prove that we've got the associated data that was expected and that we called the send prompt function properly. So test email confirmed sends prompt. Most obvious name to me. Hopefully it makes some sense for y'all. And the email confirmed signal handler sends a prompt. Now, I guess this could bite us in the future in a scenario where if we change this so that in the future somebody might want to change their email address, like if we add that functionality and they do a verification, then this code would technically run whenever that happens, and they might get a prompt early for that day, which I think is probably okay. In fact, it might even be nice for them if they're changing to a new email address and they immediately get something from Journey Inbox proving like, hey, we know your new address and we're sending your prompts there now. So that feels fine. So the setup here is we're going to need an email address that's connected to an account. And this is the part that I want to be careful on and make sure that we're connecting to the right email address and looking it up that way. And that'll make more sense in a minute. So we want to do handle email confirmed. And we want to pass in the first one argument doesn't matter. In fact, I'm going to do what I did below here and just like explicitly label it sender, just so that's known. And then we can put sender. And I think we need a request. So we'll create one of those in a minute. And then we need the email address. And that's going to come from a user factory. So if we create a user with the user factory and just have one, this should create an account along the way. and we should be able to do user.email. Now, I think this will work properly because I believe that, I don't know for absolutely certain, but I think that the email confirmation process sets the email on the user model. Because there's actually like two places with where the email is stored. Maybe let's go see that and make sense of it. We're not going to run this code so that it's not going to blow up on us. But if we run the web server and get what? Oh, phooey! Did I do a brew update? Now I don't have gunicorn installed. Oh, okay. No, I gotta activate the virtual environment. Okay. So going back to port 5006, I'm still mystified why reboots are causing that to still be on port 5006. Not going to worry about it today, though. And let's go to the admin page. Okay. So we've got these email addresses. This is actually created by django-allauth. And they're marked as like primary or verified. And we've got the billing portal listed as the user. So let's go ahead and click this one. And you can see we've got this billing portal account. So if we click that and go to the user, you can see that the email address is also set here. So this is what gives me reasonable confidence that we don't need to go look up these email address objects. We can just lean on the user. And so we should be able to do a filter or do a query on the account model that will reach through the one-to-one field of the user and look for the email account or the email address and match it up based on that. So having this should be the consistent thing that we want. So then the other side, the thing that we want to assert is that there is a prompt for that user. Prompt.objects. Come on, Matt. Objects.filter. And then the prompt has a user attribute, so we can pass in the same one. And we just want to check that there is one. And then we have a prompt model that we need to import. Okay, so if we run that, it's going to blow up because we're missing some stuff. We still need the HTTP request. And I guess we can also check, since we're at that code, where'd it go? Email confirmed. Okay, we've got the request that's coming here. That's got to be an HTTP request. I don't know why they would call anything else request. So I'm just going to assume it is. Again, we don't need it, but I just want to be, when I call this thing, I kind of want it to match up to what the expectation is from the actual signal handler. So we'll do request is equal to an HTTP request. Why did it pull it in from debug? No, wrong. So that's from Django HTTP import HTTP request. Okay, and then we don't want the class, we want an actual instance of it. And this is my editor not being smart enough to understand Django, so it doesn't know what an email actually is because of the way this model stuff works out. So now we should be able to run that test, and we should get a false because it does not exist. That feels right. Okay, so time to fill in the body of this thing. So let's say send a prompt to a user as soon as they confirm their email. It's really the motivation behind this, why we're doing this. So I feel pretty confident that I don't need to add any, well, okay, let me think through this. Should we be wary of what's happening here? Like, is there a possibility that, that the email is not set in the user by the time the signal is called? I doubt it. I bet this confirm email is its objective, and if we dug into it, would be to set the email address. we're going to test this anyway to give us confidence whether this is true or not. So let's operate under the assumption that the email has been persisted for that user and that they're good to go. Which I guess would be the case anyway. If they already created their user account and they're verified, that means there's going to be a user in the system that is tracked against that email address. So I think this is fine. So let's find the account. And then we want to do account objects. Account models. We have an account manager. Let's say, let's do it via email. So from email, where we have self email stir, which it's going to return an account. So we want to do any query should be fine, and then do the query set dot filter with the user attribute. We want to look for their email. And I want to do a get on that because I'm assuming that there will only be a single one. From future import annotations. Okay. I needed that because otherwise it wasn't going to recognize the account thing here. So doing that should give us an actual account record. And over here now we can do objects from email and pass it the email address and get in the account. That should work just fine. Okay, so now we need to actually call the send prompt method or function, sorry. So we want to call send prompt, and it takes John, I don't understand your comment there. Maybe I missed something. Status for scanning port. Did I miss something? Well, I'm sure you'll fill me in if I'm missing something obvious. So our send prompt takes two things. It takes an account and it takes today. And that's it. So the only other thing we need to do is define today. So if we look at, for example, if we go to the jobs file for the send mail, and we can use a localized today by doing this, and we want time zone from Django utils. So from Django utils import time zone. All right. So the idea being, like, they've confirmed, we're going to try to send them the prompt for the day that they confirmed on. And in the weird circumstance where maybe they confirmed, well, no, that's not it. That wouldn't work because this pretty much guaranteed to always send a prompt immediately. But the prompt that's sent now could be registered by the time the automated job runs. Like, let's say they register before, I think it's scheduled to run at 9 a.m. Eastern time. But let's say you're registering from somewhere in Europe and you're doing it in the morning for some reason, and like you're just before this time window. So the day is still for the current day, but it's before all of the prompts sent out. Oh. Thanks, John. You have a URL for, yeah, I don't know if it got blocked. I don't see anything in my chat. So, oh, you know what? Let me try. Nope. I switched to the live chat and it's still not showing your URL. So sorry that you can't send that. I don't think I have any protections on there, but maybe it's just YouTube trying to block some stuff. Okay. So we've got this call where we're now sending the prompt, and that's the action, and it's just done. Now, there's a consequence to this. The consequence is that when the user's email gets confirmed, we're going to process some extra code and we're going to do an API call to SendGrid, and that has some amount of latency. So we are doing something synchronously that will slow down the actual like email verification process. And okay, that's not ideal, but I think that's okay for now. If we like had a huge amount of growth and this was really affecting the user experience, we could add a background worker and make this a fire off a job of like, okay, you're going to run this thing in the background. And what that would do is the user would still get the email confirmation and they'd be good to go, but they wouldn't have this couple of seconds perhaps window where they'd be stuck waiting for the actual email to send. We're also adding a potential risk that SendGrid is going to fail and they receive some kind of exception. That's possible, but frankly, it's really unlikely. Like this stuff has been pretty solid. But it's risk, right? So if you want to have the flawless experience, maybe you'd want to set up a background worker. Curiously, this is something worth noting. So the Django has an enhancement proposal process similar to the Python enhancement proposal, which is PEP. You may have heard of that, or you may, if you're going to know it at all, you're going to probably have heard of it from PEP 8, which is the Python code style. But the Python enhancement proposal process, that's a mouthful, is for how Python gets better, how the community talks about making stuff better. And the Django community adopted something similar, the same process, almost verbatim, I think, and they just like swapped out Python for Django, and they called it the DEP process for the Django enhancement proposals. So if we search for Django DEP, well, let's try DEP like that. There we go. So there's a DEPs repo, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a new DEP that has been accepted, which I think you might find interesting. It is DEP 14, and I'll drop the link here in the chat. Thankfully, my links don't get blocked when I send them. I guess because I'm the streamer, right? They trust me that I'm not sending garbage. Not that you're sending garbage, John, just saying they have a certain level of trust from you because I'm the person streaming. So at any rate, you can read this step, but the idea is, what if Django core had a standard interface for doing background work? There's a bunch of different ways to do background workers in Django, and they all have their own variation of how to do it. But if they could unify around a task interface or task backend, then in theory, in the future, you could plug in a task backend very easily, use the task system that's here, and if you ever needed to swap it out for some other backend in the future, you could do that. So it's a worthy read. I actually read it today in entirety because it's really new, but that's something interesting to check out. All right, so now we've got, what do we have? We have confirmation that we're going to send a prompt. We've got the test to confirm that it's going to run. Oh, I almost forgot already. We have to hook it up, otherwise it's not. I was getting ready to go jump into doing the actual test of this locally to make sure that it works, and I totally was about to fail and forget to connect it. So we need to go into the apps, and the app has this ready handler. The ready handler here is, the reason that it's here is because we have to delay the evaluation, the connection of signals and stuff because of the way models are prepared and ready. It has to do with the startup process for Django. I don't really want to get too deep into that, but just know that that's where that comes from. So what we can do is we can add handle email confirmed right here, and then we also need to add the actual signal that we need from allauth. So that should be allauth.accounts.signals email confirmed. So let's do from allauth account signals import email confirmed, and then down here we can replace this to do with email confirmed connect handle email confirmed. Now again, these are synchronous, so this will, every time that's fired, it will call this function. And the way signals work is it would call any function. You could have multiple functions connected to a single signal, and essentially under the hood there's a dispatch loop that happens where it's just looking for what functions are connected to this signal when it's sent, and let's call them one after the other. That's what's happening here. So that should give us everything we need to test this out. Let me just, because this is I did something that affected the startup process. I don't actually trust that loaded properly. Maybe that's unfounded, but that's how I feel. And let me do one other thing. I'm going to put on my secrets for a moment, and I want to check that my env file is still using the console email system and is not actually going to send to SendGrid or attempt to SendGrid. Yeah, all right, it's using the right one, because I think last time I tried it, it was not sending to the right place, and I ended up sending an email accidentally or something like that when I didn't intend to. All right, so let's go, and what I'm showing now, in case you're curious, is none of these are sensitive. This is all my env example file. But what I was looking for is this email backend attribute to see if it was set to something that was from an email instead of the console backend. So the flow we're going to do to test this out is to go create an account locally. The verification email will be sent to the console. We'll be able to, from the terminal, directly click on the verification link. And if it's working right, you should immediately see it turn around and try and send out a prompt email that will also show up on the console. So that's how this should flow. All right, let's get it started. Whoops, got to type it properly. And now we're going. So let's go over to, actually let's, whoops, my private tab came up over here. I want to come up, bring it over here. And that way we can, I know that this one is not logged in on this side because it's private tab. That's the only reason I'm using it. We don't need the debug toolbar. We put that out of the way. And let's try the sign up process. So we've got a bunch of spots left in our beta access here. And we can say, let's call this, just so it's really clear what test this is, email confirmed at testing.com. And I'm going to use the same junk password that I use for a lot of this stuff, which is wittyparo. That's just historical reasons why I do that. All right, so we've got this message sent to email confirmed. And here we've got, this is the console backend. So this is the same kind of information that Django would be sending out to an SMTP server or any other email service provider if you're doing that. This is what it looks like. And you can see embedded in this is the actual verification link right here. So I want to take this link and I want to copy this, and I'm going to put out some space here, because what I expect to happen is when we paste in the verification link, we should get another thing that shows up on this console. So let's come over here. And so what we're synthesizing is like, oh, somebody went to their email client and they saw the email from Journey Inbox and they're clicking the confirmed email link, because if you read the message, it says, welcome to begin your journey. You need to verify your email address and follow this link. All right, so we're following the link, and so we're got a couple messages there that could stand to be cleaned up. That's not great in its look. But importantly, we sent the prompt. So there's two versions of the prompt. There's the text version and there's the email version. So this would have also gone out to the user, and we can check that it went to email confirmed at testing.com, and it says, you have no entries yet, so just reply, and as soon as you do, then you'll start getting entries. So I think the feature is doing everything that we want. Let's make sure that we've got test coverage for all the code. So I'm going to run the test suite, and then we'll review the diff, and then I think we'll be able to call this one done and move on to the next one. So 100% coverage, that's good, no shocker. And let's check it out. So we added a new manager method that gets a specific account that's from email. I did that because doing so kind of puts all of the filter logic inside of the manager that's supposed to know about the account. The alternative is we could have just directly done the filter call right in the code that was going to use it, and that requires that the code that's calling it have knowledge of the internal structure of the account, because there's actually two fields that it's going through. So it's this method right here is taking advantage of it, knows that there's a one-to-one field from account to user, and it knows that that user has an email attribute to check against. So those are things that are, I don't think other regular business logic code should have to care about. So we can abstract that away into a method. Then we had to hook up the signal, which we connected here to our handler. So that was easy. Before the stream, I had found a pretty print import that was commented out, so I went ahead to remove that, which is, in case you're wondering why is that there, that's why that was there. And then our handler ends up being 3 lines. We get the account, we create it today, and we call send prompt with the account and today. So about as simple as I think that could look. I mean, I guess I could have gotten rid of the local variable, but I actually like the, create the arguments and then call it look. Personally, that's a style thing. Then we've got our test. That test asserts that a prompt exists. So that assertion is going through the send prompt thing. We are taking a little bit of advantage of knowledge that this send prompt function does create a prompt instance. So there's maybe some like implementation leaking out there. I don't care. It's not that important. And that's the whole feature. So let's add this code. Let's see if everything passes through pre-commit, which is good. And now we can say send prompt immediately when someone confirms their email address. So that should give a much nicer first day user experience. They don't have to wait until the next day to get their first email prompt, and they can immediately try out the service. Okay, so let's close that private tab there. I'm just checking this to see if there's anything noteworthy. Nope, that looks good. The number was 124. Whoops, not that. 124. And we're good to push it up. All right, cool. So that one's done. Before we move on to the next one, let's go ahead and clear out our pull requests. One of the things I tell people as they join in is I write every line of code on this project live on this stream. I don't do anything unless there was one circumstance where I had something to do something time sensitive for Stripe in order to keep my account valid. And so that was the one time that I wrote code outside of the stream. Otherwise, it's all done here. So that includes the things that are less glamorous, frankly. And part of that is doing package upgrades. So we've got some package upgrades here. These should go pretty quickly, and then we'll get right back to it. Most of these are so minor that they take 20 seconds to look at. So we've got a bump from 240 to 251 for Sentry. Let's see if there's anything noteworthy here. The 250 has Starlet and Fast API stuff. That doesn't apply to us. Something about cache stuff. We're not using any caching right now, so there's nothing there. And they fixed a regression in their cron stuff. We're not using anything from cron. So that's completely harmless. So let's go ahead and merge that and move to the next one. All right. The next one is pre-commit itself. So it's updating rough, which is our formatter. And well, rough does a lot of stuff. So it's not even worth looking at the changelog for that. I would only be concerned or feel a need to check it out is if when the way pre-commit operates, or pre-commit CI, is actually really awesome in that when it does an update, if pre-commit CI will then try to run the pre-commit command, and if there are any changes detected, it will apply those changes and add it to the PR. So the fact that there's only a single line over here tells me that all it did was update the version and there was nothing that changed about the code. If this number was any bigger, I'd go look at what changed and see what was updated about the system. And Rajat, I see your question there. I'll get to that in just a moment. Let me finish off this little bit. Okay, we've got another one from Rough, so it's also in our packages for installing dev tools. Nothing to do there. All right, let me look at your question. So, do you prefer minimal packages or just include as many as necessary? That is a really interesting thought. Let me think on that for a moment, because I have a knee-jerk reaction, but I want to test that. Well, I'll let you be the judge. So let's look at the requirements file I have. So this project is not huge, but there are quite a few packages in here. But this is a whole project. So I think my bias is towards, I am willing to include as many, in your words, as many as necessary, if it's packages that I know and trust well. Like, I have no qualm with importing or adding django-allauth. Same thing with django-anymail. These are both fantastic packages that are really robust. I would be like insane to build them myself because of all the work that they do. Some of these other ones, I could see an argument of trying to do some of them myself, but yeah, I'm okay with almost all of these. So I'm not like quick to add any package. It's not like I'm not one that says, okay, let me go check if this kind of functionality was done by somebody else, and then immediately import it, especially if I don't know it. So there's a trust aspect here that I gain. Now, at the same time, if it's an area where I don't have an experience in it, I will go look. So my go-to resource for exploring new packages is djangopackages.com or .org. I don't know, djangopackages.org. This site is good. It is imperfect in the way it presents some of the information, but that's okay. But I like to search for, like, you could do a search for categories. So email, and you get the grid of things that are related to email. And look, check out what comes out on top, Anymail. So this is my example of, like, this one is a tried and true piece of tech here where I have no issue using it. But you could think about categories where maybe they're less often used, like, I don't know, e-commerce. So that's one that I wouldn't necessarily build in myself. I have worked at a company that used Django Oscar. It's a very intense framework. So, this is a tool that I use as like a measuring stick for, let me go inspect the stuff. And if it solves a problem, I'm not opposed to using it, but I don't immediately say, like, I must use the package that makes me go as fast as possible. Hopefully that answers the question. Yeah, happy to respond. All right, let's check out what is next for us. So coming back to our list, we've got 4 of these. Let me think on which one I care about. Password reset. I don't remember. Okay, so there's this one about password resets. Now look, check out the date on that. I created that the end of last year when I was getting into this. Well, that's not totally true. So at one point I thought this was important to add, because this was our milestone that we did before I launched, like, making this more open to people. And then I removed it from that, but I left it around. The problem is I don't have any reset functionality exposed. So maybe there's more to this. It's like, not only should we have the password reset templates, but also connect it. So, like, if you are logging in and you don't remember your password, that's where that flow comes out, right? So let's do this. Let's do this one and see if we can be guided by actually incorporating it into the flow first. So expose password reset feature. And the reason I'm, like, wavering on this a little bit, this is functionality that comes from django-allauth. I don't know how many pages we'll need to actually explore. Let's play around with it and see what we can figure out. It's just an auth view. All right. That's good to hear, John. Looking for password. Is it just one view? Oh, nice. Users can request a password reset using this view. An email will be sent containing a reset link. Okay. Seems reasonable so far. So where do we put this? I feel like this should go on the login page. Would be like the best home for this. Like, I don't want to do a password reset on the sign up page because presumably if you've clicked the sign up page, you've not been here before. So login page feels like the right place to start. And since we're doing that, let's bring up, stop putting this over here, stupid Firefox. Come on. Move it over here. Maybe it'll remember this time if I've actually moved it. Let's go back to localhost here. And we go to our login page. Oh, I do have a password reset thing. Oh, funny. Okay. So maybe this is why I added it, because I definitely exposed the functionality, but this looks not so great. Okay, cool. Let's do it. So we want a very simple form that looks pretty much like the login form, and it's just going to have a single field. In fact, we can probably have a login form side by side. Let's go to the template. Let's create, what does it need to be called? See, this is where we need to make it exactly what it's supposed to be called in django-allauth. It's not immediately obvious what the name is. So let's go over here, go up to account. I think, well, templates, there it is. Templates, account. See, this is why, I think this is why I hesitated, because there's actually multiple templates here. I am using the standard Django template language, Rajat. Good question. I've actually found, okay, so while I get that, all right, so why would people want to use Jinja? Some of it might be familiarity, which if they're coming from somewhere else, I get. Some other people might claim speed. Yes, technically, Jinja 2 is faster, but I don't recommend Jinja for Django because there's so much of the ecosystem that has an expectation of Django templates. Like if you did this, if you pick Jinja, I think you immediately opt yourself out of stuff like this because so many projects are going to provide some built-in Django templates and then not work with Jinja. So I have found that Django templates are perfectly reasonable in my opinion. Maybe Jinja is a little bit better on certain dimensions of it, speed being one of them, but I don't think it's worth it to switch to Jinja for a Django project. That's my take. And it simplifies your life if you can be one less getting back to the question of dependencies, it's one fewer dependency to add to your project. All right, so we need to have the password reset.html. And we're going to find out if it sends us to other pages because there was that done page. Like, what is that? I don't know. So let's start here. We'll have password reset. And before we refresh on this page, and before I save this thing, let's get the page source because we need to have the form elements that are in here. That's important. This thing right here. Okay, so it's really just an input named email. That's fine. With a button. Okay. I just wanted to, because sometimes they name it like email 1 or some funny stuff like that. And that's the part of this contract with django-allauth we have to get right. That's why I'm sweating the details on that part. So let's change this title to password reset. I don't feel like being clever on this part. Or, well, maybe I do. What should this be called? Maybe it should be action-oriented, because this is saying, this is like a noun, but the other page is a login. Log in. That's a verb, right? You're logging in. Log in. So let's be action-oriented. Let's change it to reset password. That's what you want to do, right? Reset password. And then we know we're going to have... Why is there a login class here? Maybe I got that from... Because I don't think that does anything. Must have copied that from the original template, never cleaned it out. Yeah, there's no attribute with that. We can get rid of that. Let's go ahead and clear that out while we're over here. And come back to password reset. We've got, see here's where they called it login, like instead of email. Call it ID email. Oh wow, that's messed up over here. I'm noticing a bunch of things that are not lining up. Okay, we're going to have looking at, there's an MB4 on this one, but we're about to delete it. So let's put that here so that there's the right amount of space, and delete the password field and change this to reset password. And then we can get rid of the actual link, because that would just turn around and link back to the same spot. All right, so if we did everything right, this should get replaced with just a very simple form. And should we send them a message saying like, hey, we'll send you an email? Or people are generally going to know what a reset password thing is for. I don't know. No. Here's an opportunity to be nice and tell them something encouraging. So where else do we have a paragraph in some of these? Do we? I don't want an extra small. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's do index. Oh, we're just using straight up paragraphs, just margin. Okay. So let's do right here, let's do a paragraph tag, and we'll give it some margin on the bottom. I don't know what's going to look right. We'll start with 4. And we'll say, forgot your password. Enter your email address. And we will send a reset email. That doesn't sound right. Enter your email address and we will send what? We'll send a reset form? Reset link? Something like that. Let's try that. Okay. That at least like lets it be clear what they're doing. let's look at who the accounts are. We've got the users. We've got Matt at testing. So that's an email address we can use, because I have a feeling that if you put in junk, it won't do anything. It shouldn't. Well, let's try that. Let's put in some like trash information and make sure it's not like leaking out anything. So this is trash email at nowhere.com. And we should see nothing happen. So it gets sent. Oh, interesting. It comes back to the login page. Huh. Okay. Nothing gets sent. That seems like sensible behavior. Basically, because what we want to have in that scenario, what you don't want to have happen is people can use the reset form and it'll say like, yeah, we sent it to you. And be able to guess email addresses out of this. Although we're about to find out if we put in a real one, because Matt at testing is a real one, what happens? What's the difference in behavior? Is it going to direct us to the login page? Maybe that's a reasonable behavior. Maybe not. So Matt at testing.com does correspond to one of the email accounts that's on here. So this should behave differently, we hope. Still goes to the login page, but with any luck, ooh, why did it not actually send? Oh, I messed it up. I submitted the wrong page. It's my fault. Sent to account login when it needs to be a post to somewhere else. It needs to post to, what was the name? Account reset password. Okay. Okay, so my fault. Let's try it again. And get rid of this. So now if we go to this page and we check out the form, we should see a different place that it's trying to go to. Yeah, now it's going to account password reset. That's what I more like what I expected. So let's try that pattern again of what happens when you give it an invalid one. So trash email at nowhere.com. Okay, so we've got to style this reset done page. And there should be nothing here. Oh, it did try to send it. Huh. Why would it do that? Can you imagine how annoying that would be? You are receiving this email because you or someone else tried to access an account with email, trash email at nowhere.com. So that it's assuming like if you, no, so let's say you knew somebody's email address, you could use my service to send them junk information. Like, however, we do not have any record of such an account in our database. This email can be safely ignored if you did not initiate this action. If it was you can, oh, okay, so it's like an opportunity to sign up for the service. Kind of weird. But how much do I care? We do have to get to some of the templates for the email itself. So we're going to be overriding the content of this thing anyway. Maybe. But this is like the template when there is not an account. So there's multiple variations of this. Let's edit this thing. So we've already exposed the password reset feature via the login page. We've got the HTML version of the password reset page. We've got the HTML version of the password reset done page, which we have not done. So we've done this. It seemed to work for that. We've got email templates. So email template for no existing account. And I don't know if if it's the same template or if there are two templates. But we might have to fill in both of them. Okay, so we did that first one. Let's go back to here, return back. And now I want to see what happens when we do have one. So if we've got matt@testing.com, okay, it's the same done page. That's good. So you don't get any signal as a user whether it is the right one or not. And this time it says you're receiving this email because you or someone else has requested a password reset for your account. Click the link below to reset your password. So they do give the option. Okay. All right. I feel decent about that. So we need a simple like confirmation page to do that for that done page. And there were a couple other variations of this that I saw under here. Like password reset from key. What is this? I don't know what this thing is. I'm reading it to see if anything sticks out. Bad token. I bet we could find from key somewhere. Like if we search for, what if we search for, no, it's not the search. From key. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that is. You can provide a key. Huh. What do they say here? Password management. It's documented? All right, what if we search for from key on this? Maybe it's this headless adapter thing. I don't know what this is. Huh. Okay. I'm going to pretend we don't need this, because I don't see any use case where I'm calling something. Yeah, John, maybe you're right. Maybe it's a JWT thing. I have no good sense of this. Sure, we could go dig up the origin of it, but I don't think we need to. So let's just assume that we need the done page. I'm trying to think. There's a success page I have that says very little. Maybe we put that on the done page. So we have some text here that we could use. Let's use that text and take this up to here. So password reset done. I think that was the name. Password reset done. Paste that. And we'll continue to call it reset password. And then change it to paste in that content that we have, the actual like text from an email. We have sent you an email. If you do not receive it, that's fine. Don't know that we still need the index link. Index link was that was coming back from Stripe, so that felt fitting. Put that there. Maybe it doesn't make sense for this. So now we should be able to refresh. Yeah, okay. I don't feel like I want this link here. And then I guess we could bring in that header. Just put that here, just kind of tie it together a little. So now we've got reset password, matt@testing.com. And by including the header, it should feel like if it's fast enough, nothing should move except for the text. So it should feel tied together with the done page. Yeah, that's good. Otherwise, there'd be a little bit of a visual jump there. So I think it's good to have that header there. All right, cool. So now we need a couple more templates. Let's go check the boxes on what we've done. Got the password reset done. And we got to do the email templates, figure out where those things go. And the way all this system works, in case you're like, what's going on, is basically just need to, like the name of the path that I have is very specific and matches up. It's like account login, like that's the path. So what's happening is when Django is looking for templates, they're starting at the top and they're starting from my directory, which is the templates directory that is listed here at the root of the repository. And if we can see this in the settings file. If we go to the templates area, you can see that there's the DIRS option that's been added, which tells it to scan through that thing. And it will also scan through the app directories. That's where AnyMail will live and have templates, but it's going to prefer this thing over that thing. So this is our mechanism for overriding whatever is coming from allauth. I think I said AnyMail a moment ago. I meant allauth. And so allauth has an account directory, and if you match up the name exactly, then the one in our templates directory is going to be preferred. That's how this is overriding stuff. I'm sure there are probably other ways to do that, but yeah. The Code Alchemist. Is it possible to refactor my project such that I move manage pi to a directory other than where it was created? Yeah. Yes, I think is the short answer. There are some downsides of doing that. So, okay, if you want to do that, you can do it. I can show you a little bit about what has to change, I think, in there. If you're deploying on certain platforms, manage.py is a signal to certain cloud vendors, like Heroku. Heroku is a good example. Just by the presence and existence of that manage.py file, it says, oh, this must be a Django project. I think that's also true of certain, perhaps even like certain text editors, and detecting that this is in a Django context and marking things as such. That being said, I'm happy to show you where you modify this stuff. I think it's really comes down to coming in here and moving it where you want to. And even then, I don't think you may not even have to change anything. I think it could be in a different directory. So if you had like a bin directory or scripts directory or tools or whatever you want to call it for your extra stuff, you might be able to just move it. And the key thing that it's going to look for is, can it do an import of your project settings? So that's what's really happening. If you set the Django settings module environment variable, it'll look for that, but otherwise it's going to look for a dotted path to the project. And so as long as that's visible in your path, your Python path, it does. I don't think it really matters where manage.py lives. You did and it broke. That's interesting. So, I mean, I don't understand why it would break, to be honest. If you have an error that you could share, but this seems like it should work if I were thinking that way. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something else to it that I'm not thinking about. I mean, I could try. Here, let me try something. I'm not going to do this permanently. I'm just going to copy one. But let's say, all right, I've got a docs directory. I'm going to copy my manage.py file into docs just for a moment. So if I do this, I now have a new manage.py file. Like, it's the same, literally the same file. If I do docs manage.py like that, okay, seems to be working. So not sure what you're hitting the Code Alchemist. But like I said, looking at the code, there's nothing in the code that that would indicate that it would not work if you moved it somewhere else. So if you have something more specific, happy to try and debug that a little bit with you, but that's all I got. So I'm going to take that out before I forget and have two managed py files. Okay. Let's get back to finishing up these templates for these email things. We're going to come into here, and I think the things that we need to work on next are, it might just be one. Let's look in here and see what they have. Yeah, happy to go on Discord if you have some details you want to share. Okay. Password changed. Well, there's all sorts of stuff we could override eventually, apparently. It's got these, I really want to know what this reset key thing is. Huh. All right. Whatever. So we need to make at least a text version. Well, wait a minute. Hold on now. These all look like text versions. What? So I think it must not provide a default HTML version. Huh. Okay. Which isn't very cool, actually. Well, okay. No matter. So we want the reset. Oh, it also does this stuff where it puts the subject somewhere else. I don't know why it does that for some translation purpose. Okay. So I'm not going to bother changing the subject because, like, there's a. Let's look at the login one. So we replaced, or the email confirmation one. You can see we've got the message, but we didn't replace the subject. So the subject is email confirmation subject. That's email sign up subject. So they've got some indirection here. Please confirm your email address. I didn't change that. So that's what will still come if you're using, if you sign up for Journey Inbox today, that's what you would see as your subject line. I really don't understand why those are two separate files. Okay, I guess they'd have to parse it out otherwise. So, okay, I can kind of understand. And then it has to also be translated. So again, that's the cost you pay for having a super robust project that can be like support multiple languages. I'm only ever going to support English. Sorry if you speak a different language. I just can't. I'm not going to get into translation. I don't think that's going to be an effective use of my time or what I want to be focused on. So I think what we need to do is we need to replicate one of these files, the reset message. Let's check on the subject to make sure the subject's okay. Password reset. Okay, that's fine. That at least conceptually works for me, because on the view, the template, I said reset password. I wanted it to be action oriented. And when you click the button, you get the password reset. At that point, it's like a noun of like, you have received the thing that you asked for to complete your process. So I don't feel like we need to change that subject. So what we do need to do is the password reset message. Nope. That's not the right one. Well, where is it? Because that's saying it's already done. Your password's been reset. So that's not the right template. What was, let's find the text that we saw. You're receiving this email. I might need to search for that. Because it's not jumping out at me which one it is. Email confirmation, deleted, login, changed. All right, let's just search for it. So it's receiving this, what was it, email? This email. That should be in a template somewhere. Unknown account message. What? Or is it password reset key? Oh man. Okay, let's check a couple of these. And we can do a last verification when we're done to make sure we got it. If we didn't, we'll just rename the file. That's all we'll have to do. So we can set the content properly and then rename. Okay. So here's the one where somebody got it because they weren't in the system. And then maybe here's the one where we got it because you were in the system. Is that the only difference? So it's as many as 4 templates that we have to produce. And let's assume that reset key message is going to work for the non-key scenario. Because the other one was like after. Okay. Take all this content. And then create password reset key message txt. Paste all it in. And then I don't actually want to inherit from base message. I mean, I don't think I do. We can take a quick look. Base message. Hello from, no, I don't care. Let's get rid of the translation stuff. Whoa. Our usernames aren't going to make any sense. They're email addresses. So that doesn't help us in any way. Did that show up in the last one? That makes me think it wasn't the right one. Okay, let's search for something else. Requested a password reset. That's probably what we should have searched for from the beginning. Password reset key message. Okay. That's all I can tell. It does seem like it's the right thing. I don't know why this is formatted really oddly to me. If username is, they did that on the same line and then added some extra stuff. Okay. Ditching it. So let's start with something simple. Hi. You're receiving this email because you or someone else has requested a password reset for your user account. It can be safely ignored if you did not request a password reset. Click the link below to reset your password. All right, then we get rid of the translation block stuff. And then we've got the reset URL. And then none of the rest of that stuff matters. What else what did I put it? I'll keep this. Click to reset your password. I don't like this other style where they tell you what you're about to click. And maybe this is good enough. Maybe we don't actually need the HTML version here because it's going to be the same thing basically. Okay. Let's try that. All right, that's just that's where it's known, right? See how it looks. Come back to our reset form. And we've got matt@testing.com, which is a known one. Let's click reset password. And hi. Regards. Okay. I don't understand why I took out the extra new lines. I don't know how that would look in the actual client, but maybe that's good enough. Click that to reset your password. All right. I have a feeling that the console backend is stripping out the extra new lines and that this would look fine. Because I feel like I've seen the text version in some actual email clients. There is a way to test your emails. I mean, there's lots of ways to test emails. So emails is one of these really scary areas of the internet and doing web development, because email clients are notoriously bad in terms of what they support from like a rendering perspective. You could think of them as like browsers from 10 years ago or more, like IE6 kind of stuff, which if you've been around long enough in web development, you know that that's a long time. That's old. We don't want to support that kind of stuff anymore. But so testing emails like exhaustively, there's whole vendors you can buy products from where they will just show you what your email looks like in all sorts of different email clients of different kinds. And the discrepancies can be pretty wild, which is why I lean so hard on having emails that are as stupid simple as possible, because it minimizes the possibility that the client can screw it up. That being said, you can still have some kind of email testing tools to see what it would look like in effectively a Chrome-based browser email client. The tool that I'm thinking of specifically, I don't have it installed on this machine, so we're not going to do it today, but I think it should still be around, is called, MailHog. So MailHog is a little tool that essentially runs a local SMTP server, and you can configure, you can configure your app to connect to that local SMTP server, and basically is the receiver of whatever email. So you'd switch the background in the back end to be that other server, and then it gives you a little UI that acts as the email client that you can go check it out. I do have somewhere back in my playlist for School Desk, my other app, should be some email testing, I think. Because if I look at the homeschool app, I believe that there's some special handling code. Let's take a quick peek and see if there's some SMTP stuff in here. Yeah, so I've got this email testing attribute that I set this up, and so if you want to do this and try it out, MailHog's pretty cool. Maybe I think for my purposes for this app, since my emails are so simple, I might just actually go back after I've deployed this and try it and click. Well, I guess I can only test the one where I have a real account. The other one I won't be able to test. So there's some value in using a tool like MailHog to let you see what stuff looks like. And if we had an app that had lots of email, then it'd be a good one to set up and try and get going. I think the nice part about MailHog, if I remember correctly, is I think it's written in Go. Yeah, it's written in Go, so it's pretty portable, so you can get like a binary pretty easily. Although it looks like there are more and more options to install it, so I guess as it's been maturing, it's getting added to Brew and all of your favorite places to download things. And then you can see here's a picture of what the web UI looks like. So you get this little, it's connected, and as soon as you send it, it will show up. You might have to hit the little refresh icon, but it'll show up right here. And you get to check both the text and HTML versions as you want. So it's pretty powerful in that way. Okay, so that's the password reset key message one. The other one was that unknown one that we want to do. That's this one. So I'm going to take all, why is that highlighting so weird? What is it doing? Try again. Okay, it's going to highlight weird. So let's go to the raw version of it. Copy all that. Unknown account message. Unknown account message. TXT. Paste all this in. Again, I'm going to strip out all of the translation stuff because I don't want it. It does look like that the project, if you're okay with the defaults, you can actually keep what's there and get translations. But I'm modifying some of the text, so I would get translations in other languages that wouldn't make any sense for what I'm modifying things to. So that's what I'm getting rid of these translate blocks for. And we'll clean this up in a second. I want to get this. Okay, so hi, you're receiving this email because you or someone else tried to access an account with email address. However, we do not have any record of such an account in our database. Still a little bothered that you can actually even send this. I feel like this should be a setting you can turn off. So I want to check one thing. Let's go to I have some all-auth stuff here. Let's see if they're turned on. What's turned on? Are there password related things here? Confirmation. Password. I don't see anything that seems like it would change the reset behavior. And maybe there is. Maybe it's just buried in that code, and I don't feel like going to fix that. So this email can be safely ignored if you did not initiate this action. If it was you, you can sign up for an account using the link below. All right, let's join that together. And then we've got the sign up URL. All right, cool. That feels like what I want. So we've now got the unknown version of this. Let's go check out the unknown one. So this is, what did I say? Trash email at somewhere.com. And yeah, it's got our version. Okay, cool. So I feel like we have done what's needed. We've got the email templates up. We've got the HTML done page. We've got the reset page. That feels like the right amount of polish. So any route that you can get to via the navigation that we have. There are some pages that are part of all-auth that are probably still accessible if you happen to know them, that they'd be unstyled. But that's okay. I'm not using most of them, so I don't think it matters. So I think we're at a spot where we now have a little bit of cleanup in that login one, improve accessibility, and then we added our style pages. We'll check them really quickly. We got our 2 emails that are very simple text-based emails, and I'm hoping that in a client like Gmail or something, that those text-based emails will be formatted reasonably, in which I can poke on that after the stream's over. I can go I'm going to deploy this before we end this evening, and we'll see how it looks. So here's our reset page. Very simple. We did confirm that it works. We tested it many times. We saw the respond page or the done page. That looked fine too. Okay. So let's commit this, and we'll say add password reset templates. And that fixes, what number is that? 56. That was an older one. Whoops. Forgot we merged those PRs. John, I see your comment about needing to test it. My sense is that I don't feel compelled to test. I think what maybe you're referring to is the actual link. And well, maybe you're right, because where is this page going to take us? Maybe there's another page. Oh, maybe this is where the key page comes in. Maybe it's like an unstyled page to set your new password. That's probably it. Oh, bummer. Just when I thought we were done. Okay. Let's go back and finish it off and see what we're missing. Because I think John's right that we should have tested more. So, what? Now, the challenge is lining this up properly so that we're like, I think we might have to be logged in as the user that, well, no, we shouldn't actually. Zephyr, I'm deploying it where the site is. So Journey Inbox is live today. You can go to journeyinbox.com and sign up for it if you would like to try it. It's free, and it's not a credit card thing. Or at least it's not a credit card for the trial. You're welcome to try it without any kind of credit card and see if you like the service. So that's where it will be deployed to. And that deployment, if you're getting at like what is the infrastructure, it's running on Heroku is the platform that I use for actually running the app. Okay, so we want to try this out for reals. That's what we're saying. So we need a test account that has a real password or as a real user. So let's do one of these ones that is verified, which is a bunch of them. So we just did this one today. Let's use email confirmed at testing.com. Say, pretend that I forgot that URL or the password already. Let's go to forgot password. We'll do email confirmed at testing.com. Let's get rid of the inspector. We don't need that. And we'll hit reset. Now that should have sent this account, which it did. And I'm going to copy that and go back to the private tab, and then on a new tab, paste it in. And I have a feeling it's going to take us to an unstyled page. Oh, boo. It does. Okay. So what? Change password stuff. Are there settings for change password? Are we going to make them enter it twice? Are we going to do... What are we going to do? Oops, wrong way. All-auth. Email confirmation. Email, blah, 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 blah. Account forms. Login. Password input render value. What is that? The only one that's password related. All right, let's go see what it is. Make sure we get this right. I don't want to get password stuff wrong. That sounds like a scary thing. Again, I struggle with like, where's the configuration for this? Is it in here? In here? In here? No. Regular accounts. There it is. Configuration. Password. Oh. Configures whether password reset attempts for email addresses which do not have an account result in sending an email. So we could turn that off. Ah, okay. Maybe we want to turn that off. I feel like I don't want to send it because, again, this is also an opportunity where somebody could totally destroy my deliverability rating by filling in the form over and over again with junk passwords. Oh, that's awesome, Zephyr. Building a nonprofit thing. That's cool. I have found, you know, if your nonprofit can have a budget of, I mean, Heroku's like, I'm running this app, I think, for $15 a month, which, okay, yeah, that's not nothing, but in the scheme of things, it's not much. And I found that it's just such a simple place to deploy that why not? All right, so I definitely don't want to do this. Yeah, thanks, John. We're in agreement. So I want to get rid of that unknown accounts. Like, get out of here. No way. And then turn off that setting. Count email unknown accounts. Yeah. Count email no. Whoa, why do I not have it? Is that a new setting? All right. Count email. Must be a new setting. False. Yep, I'm with you, John. Limits attack vectors for sure. Yeah, I was really surprised that it was in there. I was like, I expected it to just be like silence when it was a junk email. All right, let's try it again. Let's make sure that's working. Okay. Get the server going. Let's go to our reset page. Oh, okay. I'm already forgetting. I'm getting off track. Okay. So trash email at nowhere.com should produce no result if this setting worked. And they're none the wiser. Perfect. Okay. That's what we want. Now, the downside is, well, no, there's no downside. Like if somebody typed in their email address wrong, they weren't going to get it anyway. So that could be misleading. But I think that's okay. I think they would come back and put their email in differently. One would hope. Okay. So the other thing I want to check on is this change password page. If there are some settings that we should be monkeying with. Because I don't, the double email thing, or sorry, double password thing, I've never been crazy about. It's like, yeah, I don't like this pattern where I guess somebody could type it incorrectly, but like they could just reset again if they didn't do it right. They forgot it and mistyped it. And if you're using a password manager, which you should be, then it shouldn't be necessary. Yeah, I thought I set that setting too, John, but maybe that was for the login page, and maybe they like the change password page is a different one. So let's scan through these. Oh gosh, again. I've looked through most of these settings before. Like we even spent, when we did this particular chunk of the work, I even included all of them and like said if we're like deliberately thought through them, if we're using the default or not. And I did that on purpose so that I'd know which ones I'd considered. So that's unfortunate that we gotta look at them again. But I'm looking for a more directed setting this time. So let's look for password. And see if we can, yeah, see if we can turn up something more useful here. We got the change password form, so there's a place we could look if we can't find that immediately. So the reset password form is just creating a key that sends us to the change password form, or is it maybe it's sending to the reset password from the key form? I guess that's probably what it's actually doing. So I think this is coming together of what this stuff is now. So you need a key in order to do the reset, and so that's where it's sending you. Okay, let's just keep scanning. Count login by code. Login by email offers an alternative method of logging in. Instead of entering an email address and accompanying password, the user only enters the email address, then a one-time code. Oh, no. I'm not wild about that system. Account log out on password change. Account log in on password reset. Did I turn that one on? That one even in here? No, I'm using the default. So you don't automatically get logged in when you reset your password. Account password input render value. Okay, we want it to render as a password field. Don't want to show it. Well, it wouldn't really matter if we're overwriting the template anyway. Password reset token generator. Okay. Okay, here's that control to prevent. This is a good one. This prevents people from figuring out what accounts are there. You can turn that off apparently if you're comfortable letting people see that. I'm not. Here it is. Account sign up password entered twice. Which, really? Sign up email enter twice. Huh? I definitely only ask for the email once. That's a different. When signing up. Oh, it is false. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. I only want it once. Count sign up password enter twice. Default true. And I've turned that to false. So this is only on the sign up page though, I guess. So it would be nice if you could do it on the reset form, but maybe you can't. Maybe they insist on it. That's a bummer. All right, let's do one check of the code to see if it's there or not. So we now are looking for the reset key or reset from key thing, right? Reset. I think that was what it was called. From key, because I want to see that view. What was the view name? We were on the documentation. It's this dictionary. This is the forms. We want reset password key form. Losing my place. Okay. Yeah, okay. There it is right there. We don't even have to click it. Might as well, but. All right. No way around it. So, I mean, if we were really hardcore about it and insistent, then I could do like a separate form and make it so that it only accepts one field. What? And they've even made a custom field for this? Well, that's special. What is that thing? Okay. Yeah, I don't think I want to mess with that. So we'll just use it as is. That's fine. We'll get rid of that tab. And really we want to see, now the other question here is, do we have to have all these messages? Are these coming out of, these are like the password requirement garbage. which is useful. I'm pretty sure that's dynamic, but I hate telling people that. It's like, just figure it out. But I suppose people get mad if I don't tell them up front. I don't know. Would people get mad? I just wanted to be simple. I want it to look simple. I don't want to like clutter it up with like, oh, I always hate those forms where you're like, your password must be this long and have not include your mother's maiden name. Like, whatever. It's a password. Come on. So what are we gonna do with that knowledge? Go back to the templates. Go back to so now we've got another done page. It's just like you're done. Your password is now changed. Okay, now I get the whole flow. Oh, there's like logic in here. Boo. Okay. All right, I guess we got to do it. So we want call this the password reset from key. Before I save this, let's go make sure we're getting all the field attributes that we want by looking at the page source. Wow, why did that do that? Did a one line on, what did it just do? And I don't think I did what I intended to do. DOM source of selection. No. View the page source. There we go. Okay. Oh, I got the bad one. Boo. Okay, we gotta inspect it differently. We've got ID, the name needs to be password1. And then we have the second one, name needs to be password2. All right, password1, password2. That's doable. So let's take the password reset form, password from key, and we'll do change password. They've got this token fail is in the context. So we want to do if token fail, then it will be end if. Of course, they're doing it as negative logic, which I'm not crazy about. Should have been like token valid, in my opinion, but I didn't get to design it. So we'll say bad token, and this can be change password. So then they've got this code right here. Okay. They made like custom element tags rather than, why did they do that? Why didn't they just use markup? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like way overly complex. Like look at this. It's like Django tags all the way down. What are y'all doing? Just write some HTML code. Okay, so we're going to put a form inside the else block if it's actually like the valid token scenario. Otherwise, we're going to switch this. We'll leave they're using a local variable. I don't know why. Yeah, I really don't know why. That doesn't make sense to me. So you've got this translation block. We're ditching that. And then we can here, instead of doing some local variable, no, we'll just do URL account reset password. So that gets rid of this thing. And then we can get rid of this stuff and wrap this in a paragraph tag. Okay. Suppose we also need to get our anchor attributes that we have some from other stuff. So if we go to our like an index page, we should be able to find an anchor tag. Is there namespace stuff in here too? I'll catch that in just a second, John. So we've got, this is what our href stuff looks like. We want to put that here. Okay. And then I don't think it's are you referring to like a URL namespace? I don't think all-auth has one. I think they just do everything with account underscore. That's what you're getting at. So I know that part is right. Okay. So if it's a bad token, we'll still get the bad token message and we'll get this paragraph that looks like this. And it should link them out to the proper place to get the URL with the account reset. Guess we could test that if we need to. Then we have a bunch of stuff. Is any of this helpful? No. Got like a whole custom form system here. Too complex for my liking. Okay, so now we need a couple of fields. And the type for both of these is this is why I brought up all the input stuff. It needs to be a password type, and we need to name it password2 and password1, and we can use a placeholder. We don't want autocomplete, so we've got, let's see, let's just switch all of these to email to password. Okay. So now we've got ID password, and this should be a specific one because IDs, that's how they work. We also need this to be password 1. And then we need to say new password because they're being weird like that. And we need to say new password again. And change this stuff to also be password, but we'll pick different IDs for those. Then we need to get rid of the autocomplete, and we want to keep required. And then change the label to change password. Okay, I think that's what we want. Man, testing this is annoying though, because you have to like click through a bunch of stuff. So what we're not going to get deliberately is we're not going to get this message that says like you got to be at least 8 characters. You can't use commonly used stuff. You can't be totally numeric. I think we have flash messages. So I'm pretty sure that any errors in this form will come back as a flash message. And there are flash messages from the base template that's coming out. So if there is a problem with their email reset for some reason, they'll at least get redirected back to the form with the flash message that it will appear, and they'll put in their stuff again. Okay, I think that's right. Let's hold on. It might be off by one part. Yeah. It's password reset with key. W set password. So I was about to redirect them back to the same account reset page. I did this with the login thing too. I forgot to check the method. So we need to figure out what that is supposed to be in the template, because it isn't what I just said it was going to be. And of course, they've got this as this abstract action URL thing. Means it's not easy to find. All right, let's go find the route. Let's go up to the top. Account, URLs, and then there's a reset from key. There it is. That should be it. Account reset password from key. From key. Okay. I think that should be everything. Let's go test it. So we need to let's do the same account, which was, what was it? Email confirmed, I think, right? So let's close those out. Come here to email confirmed at testing.com. Okay, that's a valid account. So it gives us a valid page to go to. Visit the page. Oh, boo. With no arguments. Oh, it takes an argument. Booey. Okay. So that's probably... Oh. I'm being dumb. I'm being super dumb. So that template that we saw over here, this action URL is part of the context. So that's our action URL. So we want to change, so we don't have the exact name, which is okay. We will just do this. We will change this to be an expression of action URL. So that means that the all-auth code has already done the work for us, and we just need to plug it in. That should be how that works. Okay. Let's try it again. Let's go here, reset password, come back over here. Because I think every time you access one of these things, I think just in the process of accessing it, it will invalidate a particular request. Call it a bad token. Hey, there it is. So change password, new password, new password. So we got the right action URL. So let's do witty paro 2, witty paro 2. And then this is going to be the final template that we don't have styled. Oh, that was not good. It ate it. What happened? Why did you eat it? Witty paro. Maybe I typed it wrong? Either way, I would have hoped to see, oh my word, WITY PERO2, WITY PERO2. Okay, I'm bothered that I must have typed it wrong the first time and it refreshed and didn't show me anything. That wasn't cool. But at least we know that it's mostly working if you type it right. I wonder why it didn't show it. I wonder if it's I wonder what that error message was. I mean, I guess we can try it again. All right, let's try it again. Try the flow again. Do another email confirm. This person's really forgetful. I'm going to leave the network tab up this time and see what kind of response we get back and see why we didn't get it before. All right, so we still need to restyle that done page. That one should be easy though. Okay, so we're here. Let's type what I know is going to be junk. So ASDF and QWER, two different things. So it refreshed. We did a post. And the response has all of the debug toolbar in there. Maybe we can use the debug toolbar if we need to. I don't know why I did that. No flash message? This should be, flash messages should be like a cookie thing. If it was going to be a flash message. So, not so sure about that. Let's get rid of this. Bring out the toolbar. Oh, maybe it's using the cache. Oh, interesting. Using the cache for the key. I wonder if that's what's setting the bad token stuff. All right, let's go to the template. Let's check out the context. See if there was like a... I'm looking for... Where's the message that said this was wrong? It doesn't really make sense to me. Why we didn't see any kind of error information. So, got the user anonymous object, got the action, the form is bound. All right, it says it's valid as false. Okay. So, okay, maybe there is, maybe we need to do the form errors on this form and render that. That could be it. And we didn't see that on the template because they got some magic on their template. There it is. All right, I wasn't paying attention. Form, element fields, form. So something in here must be rendering form errors. So let's come back to our template. and do if form, I think it's this, if form errors, then we want to do form errors. I think that'll work. Because it showed that the form was false or invalid. Or it said valid equal false, I think. So try it again. So this is going to be some junk. This will be some other junk. All right, there we go. So we've got form errors in here, and they're not being displayed. How did I do this in homeschool? I might have had a special little snippet. Templates, form, non-field errors. There we go. I'm going to just drop, for the moment, I'm just going to drop the whole thing in here. So that's what we were missing, is this stuff is not handled by Flash messages, which shouldn't, I don't know why I was thinking that. But it's handled by something that's embedded in the form object that's on the page. All right, so let's try again. Oh, what now? I did save that, right? If form errors. Oh, maybe they're not. Aha, these are the non-field errors. So I just want good enough for now. Well, that's even worse, because it doesn't actually display. Ah, phooey. So maybe this is the field with an error message. I'm just kind of guessing now, which is not great. Should pay more careful attention to what's in that, but I think this is what's going on. I think it's a tuple. Nope. Got 9? What? Okay. Cool. Cool. Not what I expected at all. Good grief. Been a while, sorry y'all. So where can we get the errors that we care about? How do we display them well? So I think if you can see here, there in a Django form, there are a couple different kinds of errors. There can be what was mentioned as non-field errors, and that's errors that are not associated with a particular form field, as should be apparent. But you can also have errors attached to a specific field. And when I printed out in kind of a dumb way the just the errors as form errors, it showed the whole thing. And I think what we saw, I want to bring it back and delete this stuff because we're clearly not getting that right. Well, you know what? Actually, let's do this. Let's keep the P tag and do this that way. So we'll still get some styling, but yeah. Ah, shoot. And it blew up in document. Okay. Boo. Try again. Reset password. Get our link. And come back over here. I surely copied that. Okay. So now, if we do this, there's nothing in that form yet. It's not like if we look at the actual page, the form is not bound yet. So the form starts out empty. And it's not bound. The word bound here means bound to data. So bound is false. It's also not valid because it can only be valid after it's been bound. And so it's saying, this is the password key reset form. It's not bound to any data. It's not valid yet. And it has 2 fields in it. That's what's expected. So what I'm about to do is I can submit it with these fields that are too short. And so it's saying, okay, this is too short and it must contain at least 8 characters, and this password is too common because I picked ASDF. So if we look back at the template and we go back to this context area, you can see that now the form is bound because I did bind it to data, but it is still false. The challenge here is that how do we get the errors out appropriately? In the homeschool app, like I did some field rendering and I did some like custom, like you can see, this is everything I did to make a field look like handle a bunch of different types for text areas. Like this got complicated, and I had to do way more research into the structure of Django's form fields than I wanted to. So here I'm just trying to get the email reset form to work. So I might be in a mindset of if I could get rid of that part, then I'd be happy enough with what's here. Still not I wouldn't be thrilled with it. It wouldn't be great. It'd be something worth coming back to. But in the spirit of trying to keep things simple, that would be the goal. So what I don't get a couple things actually. Why is the text not red, or is it just my flux is blocking all of that and I just can't see it? No, that's definitely black. Or text, there it is, text red. Oh, you know what it is? This is, no, that should, because the make, it has a rebuild process to rebuild the front end. Probably because I didn't have the inspect up, so it's got a cached version of this. So if I do this, and then do this, what? All right, something else is going on that's causing this text red not to come up. That's surprising. Text red. See, there it is. What is overriding that color? It's right there. So, okay, now I'm really confused. Inspect the list element. Why is the list element getting overridden? Oh, I see. Ah, the paragraph is closing, and then the arrow list is coming after that. That's really tricky. Why is that? If form errors, p class, then it ends the class. And then we've got form errors. And then we've got a closing tag. What's going on? Why is this closing prematurely and then having the error list? And then having another paragraph tag. What? Oi. Okay. Whatever. We don't really want to have that unordered error list anyway. We want to actually get the stuff out of it. So the question is, how do we get those field values out? So this is where I think it's time to return to the Django documentation. I'm going to take flux back off for me. You know what I'm realizing? If I have flux on, y'all see a yellow when I'm streaming? No. It's just the recording is capturing the device and flux is layering it on top. So I'm getting confused. You don't see like a yellowed screen like I do, I don't think. Because I've looked at these videos on YouTube and it's a white background. Okay, anyway, so let's return to the Django project documentation. Thanks, Zephyr, for the confirmation. Okay. Just a flux capacitor. Nice. I wish, right? That'd be fun. So where was I going? Forms. So we got the Forms API. We want to find the errors. Errors is an attribute. You get a dictionary. Okay. That has some lists in it. But we should be able to iterate over this stuff. And here's what I was saying, the non-field errors. All right, hold on. Now I'm getting really stuck. Template tags. Because if you have a dictionary, isn't there an items thing to go over a dictionary? Built-in filter items. Yeah, you could just do items. So maybe that's what I missed earlier. Let's try for field and errors. There could be multiple of them, right? In form errors dot items. I think this is the case. We want to end the for and whoops. And then we want to do gross. For error in errors. And the for again. And then we've just got error. I think this is right. But we're about to find out. So it's like going through each of the fields and then recognizing that there can be multiple errors per field. So if this works properly, then we should not see this field name, and we should see this and this and this as 3 separate paragraphs. So I'll do junk responses. Okay. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's indented oddly, but that's because this code I copied from has this weird left indentation. That's not the fault here. And it does an MB4, which, okay. Text medium. You can't set your password to ASDF. All right. I think that's good enough for tonight. Like I think I've been going way longer than I intended to. Let's reduce this down to 2. Make it a little bit tighter. And it should be good enough. Yeah, okay. That looks fine. And that should also handle the non-field errors, because the form errors, I think, includes both field errors and non-field errors, if I recall correctly. It's like the whole list of them. Not in that section anymore, but and the way that non-field errors are represented as like special, where is it? Like as a key of like none or something like that. So we should be able to get everything out of that in one go. It doesn't differentiate. So if that mattered in a form, we'd care about this. And in the future, when we actually get around to some forms, I'm not there yet, that we might want to pull out this code, generalize it, and make it so that we could quickly include this in a form, because this will be pretty common. There's also some exploration I want to do. that recent versions of Django made it possible to customize the templates for a particular field rendering. And I haven't explored how that works. So my previous methods of using includes, which were kind of like janky, that I think we might be able to get rid of those. And then just ideally, we want to just do something like, I would love to be able to just do form.errors and it show the right thing. That would be ideal, and like get all of this stuff handled automatically. But we have to explore how to do that customization, which I just honestly just don't know right now because it's a newer feature of Django and I never had reason to explore it. Because in my day-to-day work, I'm not, even when I am using Django, which is less and less frequently these days, we're doing a lot of Go at work. I'm not using template rendering. So I'm only doing template rendering on this particular project or on the school desk project, and haven't explored those newer features yet. All right, so that's a bunch of things. We're still got one more thing, which I'm hoping we can knock out pretty quickly. So our last template is the done thing, right? What was it called? Password reset from key done. Yeah. There we go. This is like you're really done. So we want password reset from key done HTML. Now let's paste all this in. And we'll say change password, and then your password is now changed. Okay. I'm losing any creative juices here after I've been streaming for like 2.5 hours. So we're just going to go with what they have in their template. Let's finish this off. So I'm going to put in a password that is valid. Wittipero3. Wittipero3. And okay, we really get it. We get it in the flash message and the template text. That seems like way overkill, but that's fine. So then somebody could go back and log in from there, because they're still not logged in from this because we didn't pick the setting to immediately log you in after a changed password. So that feels fine. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with, we killed that unknown account thing. Thanks for the suggestion, John. I agreed with you. We were able to kill that template customization that we did. And then we set up the password reset from key, which is the second half of the password reset process. We had to get, I guess the thing we haven't seen technically is the token failed. So we could test that, I think, pretty quickly by going to it multiple times, maybe. Because I think the way it works is like it's expired. Oh, you know what? We probably pick any of those from above and just try and reuse it. It's probably just going to say, nope, that's not good. Let's take this, copy, start the server back up, go back to Firefox, try it again, and it's probably just going to say, nope, bad token. All right, cool. That one was easy. Bad token, invalid. Go back to reset password. Great. Cool. Wow, that took way longer than I expected to get some reset functionality done. But that's what it took. Okay. So this will take care of this whole functionality. And yeah, this list isn't accurate anymore. I don't care. I don't feel like updating that. It's not worth our time. So we'll say, well, once rough updates here. We'll give our message. Okay, so finish password reset for the change password portion. And this is fixing number 56, although we already had a commit to fix 56. There's that. All right, I'll push that up. And make sure nothing about the coverage should have changed, but just as a sanity check. And finally, we'll deploy, although it's probably going to ask me, yeah, okay, I'm not logged in. So let me get the login going, which takes a little song and dance. And I have to put it on secret mode for a moment because I have to type Heroku. So I'm typing Heroku login, and that will redirect me to the browser. And then I got to fill in some information, which is going to immediately fill in my email address and then ask me for a 2FA code. So I'm poking that number in right now. So that checks out there. That completes the web verification portion. When I go back to the reason I had to keep that a secret is because when I go back to my terminal, it dumps out my email address right in the terminal. So you all would have seen that. All right, so I can bring it back, and now I can do a deploy of the changes that we just did. From here, I'll be able to do the password reset email for my own account, see how it looks. So that should be good. I guess we can also do a Python security update quickly. Let's notice that it said, so I only detect this when I deploy. So we're up to 3.12.4. So we'll replace that with a 4. And let's see, update Heroku runtime. Okay, we'll let the deploy finish going. So that'll be done. And then that kind of brings us back to where we are with the issues list. So we only knocked out 2 issues. One of them took a lot more time tonight than but I think both of them were like good, solid usability improvements on the app, where the reset flow was workable, but it looked like trash. And also we got that new engagement part of, if you sign up with Journey Inbox, you will now immediately get your prompt, which is good. This stuff about should hopefully help with kind of conversion aspects of having a ever-present banner that people know that they're trialing and they're not paying for the service yet, and that they need to do that. And so there's some refactoring to do there, because if we want to make that work, we have to make the Stripe script portable, because the way to actually go from trialing to paid is you have to be redirected to Stripe and fill in your credit card information, and then it comes back and gives you an active account. So that's what happens there. And then we do want to have, at some point before the trial expiring, ask them for, hey, like, do you like the service? Do you want to sign up? Check it out. Go to the right place and send them to a place where they can activate. So that's the other thing that we've got here. And then we can finally return to like cleaning up the home page and improving the design. We've got some basic ideas for the design that we've kind of fleshed out, but don't have much more detail in there. So I want to do one more deploy to update the runtime. I'll let that run. While it's running, I'll make some commentary. Thank you all for joining in. It's been fun chatting with you, and hopefully you learned something this evening. Saw some templates, saw a lot about all-auth and how customization works. Hopefully you also saw, like, I told you I simplified things down to English, but when you bring in translation, if you're really thinking about doing internationalization, there's quite a bit of complexity that comes along with that if you're rendering stuff, because everything that you add in there has to be translated and has to be wrapped in a certain way to say that it needs to be translated. Not even getting to the tool chain for actually doing the translation part. It really does complicate the kind of UI stuff you have to do. Now, that might be what you need to do if you're coming from a place where you need to support multilingual stuff, or you desire to, and that might be the path you need to walk down. But there's a certain cost that comes with that. So if you're not developing for those kind of markets, and you're like me, and you're kind of you're an English speaker marketing stuff to in the English world, then maybe avoid that siren call of like, hey, I can address my total addressable market by expanding to an international audience. I think that is a an idea that people get in their head about how to make their SaaS more appealing, and without thinking through the costs that come along with that. There's a lot of work that goes into that. So anyway, that's my sort of thoughts on internationalization. So while worthy, it does come with a cost. If you don't mind, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. That's great. You can check out my website, mattlehman.com. I've got a book that you can, all about Django and understanding Django, that you can read for free, or you can purchase a copy and support me. Try out Journey Inbox. That'd be another thing. And I guess I'll finish with this final thought. So I won't be here next week because I'll be traveling for work. But the following week, I'm actually going to switch things. So I've been streaming on Wednesdays for a very long time. I think I've got some things I need to update, but my plan is to switch off of Wednesdays. And the reason is I want to stream more often. But with my Wednesdays, in my local community, I've got 2 separate in-person meetups that I like to attend regularly that meet this night, typically. And so I want to be able to, show more content to y'all, but also attend the meetup. So what I'm going to do is switch to Thursday nights. Hopefully that works for people. Sorry if it doesn't. I apologize. Like, I will always make video recordings available if Thursday's not just not possible for you. But I'm hopeful that this will give a lot more regularity. There'll be a lot more content, and we'll get through a lot more of this coding stuff. Because I was just thinking about this, like, I'm only getting, what is this, 2 to 2.5 hours of work done twice a month, and in the scheme of things, that's really only like 5 hours a month, which is fine for a little hobby project, but it doesn't actually allow us to get through a lot. So if I can increase that to twice as much, it's still not like breakneck speed by any stretch of the imagination, but it gives significantly more opportunity to work on this and share more. So Thursday is going to be the plan, and going forward in a couple weeks. It happens to be the 4th of July when I'm doing this. I think I'll still be streaming then. If not, we'll wait another week and do it on July that would be the 11th, right? Yeah. 4 plus 7, that's 11. So that's the big shift that we're gonna do. Thank you for joining in, and I'll see you next time on a Thursday. Take care.